They said a mother knows her child better than anyone else. Deborah believed that too, until the day a stranger came to her door and told her her son didn't belong to her. Deborah's world was completely shattered. What began as a strange accusation spiraled into a tale of lies, stolen lives, and secrets hidden behind hospital walls. The truth was more shocking than anyone could have imagined. Imagine waking up to the news that your child is no longer yours. That particular day, the smell of fried eggs and pancake filled Deborah's small kitchen as she stood by the stove, humming a cheerful tune. Her son, only child Chike, sat at the table swinging his legs under the chair and giggling at his reflection in the window. "Mama, look," he said, opening his mouth wide. "I look funny with my tooth missing." Deborah turned and smiled, her heart swelling with love. "You don't look funny, my darling. You look like a big boy. Eat your food so you can grow strong teeth again." "Yes, Mama," Chike said, grinning. Deborah watched him, savoring the moment. After years of trying to have a child, Chike was her only miracle. Every day with him felt like a blessing. The clock ticked past 7:30 a.m. "Hurry up now or you'll be late for school," Deborah said as she started clearing the table. She was just reaching for her cup of tea when a loud knock at the door startled her. Deborah wiped her hands on her apron and walked to the door. She wasn't expecting anyone this early, and the knock didn't sound friendly. It was firm and deliberate. When she opened the door, she saw a tall woman with a serious expression. The woman stood straight, her piercing eyes looking onto Deborah's face. "Good morning," the woman said, her voice calm but firm. "My name is Adaora. I need to speak to you about your son." Deborah frowned, unsure what to make of the situation. "What about my son?" she asked, her tone guided. Adaora took a deep breath. "I believe Chike is my biological child." The words hit Deborah like a blow. She stared at Adaora, unable to speak. "What are you talking about?" "Chike is my son. I gave birth to him. I breastfed him," she finally managed to say. But Adaora didn't back down. "I have proof." Deborah's hand tightened on the door frame. "You are mistaken," she said firmly. "Chike is my son. I don't know who you are, but you need to leave now before I call the police." Adaora remained calm. "I know this is hard to hear, but please listen. I gave birth to a son 9 years ago. He was taken from me and I've spent years searching for him. I believe Chike is that child." Adaora reached into her bag and pulled out a photograph. "This is my son," she said, holding the picture up. Deborah hesitated but glanced at the photo. Her heart sank. The baby in the picture had Chike's dimple and the same curious eyes. But she shook her head. "No way," she said, her voice trembling. "You've made a mistake." Without waiting for a reply, she slammed the door. "Mama, who was that?" Chike asked, standing behind her. "No one, my son," Deborah said, her voice shaking. "Go finish getting ready for school." Deborah couldn't stop thinking about the woman, her calm but firm tone, the photo and the claim. It all stayed with her. The next day, the woman returned, but this time she wasn't alone. She had a lawyer with her. Deborah opened the door reluctantly. Her heart was pounding. "We are requesting a DNA test," the lawyer said, handing Deborah a letter. Deborah stared at the paper in disbelief. "This is absurd. I carried Chike. I gave birth to him. No test will change that." Adaora stepped forward. "Please, Deborah. I don't want to fight, but I need to know the truth." Deborah slammed the door again, but her hand shook as she locked it. Doubt began to creep into her heart. Adaora didn't give up. Over the next few days, she appeared at Chike's house and even the market where Deborah shopped. Deborah began to feel concerned. Finally, Deborah decided to agree to the DNA test. She told herself it would prove Adaora wrong and put an end to the harassment. But deep down, a small voice whispered, "What if she's telling the truth?" As Deborah waited for the DNA result, her mind wandered to the past. She remembered the years of trying and failing to have a child. The shame, the whispers, the endless prayers. One day, a friend had told her about a clinic in the city that specialized in fertility treatment. They helped my cousin, the friend had said. You should try them. Desperate, Deborah had visited the clinic. The doctor was kind and reassuring. With our method, you will become a mother, he had promised. At the clinic, Deborah was given injections and pill. Over the time, her belly began to grow. She felt hopeful for the first time in years. Deborah was told her baby was hidden and she couldn't see him in a sonogram even if she tried. 9 months later, she went into labor. The clinic staff sedated her for the delivery. When she woke up, a healthy baby boy was placed in her arms. Deborah never questioned what had happened. She never questioned the process. She was too overjoyed to care about the details. Chike was her miracle, and that was all that mattered to her. While Deborah was celebrating her new motherhood, somewhere in the town, Adaora was living a nightmare. 9 years earlier, she had been a young single mother with no support. After giving birth to a baby boy, she made the painful decision to give him up for adoption. I'm doing this for you, she had whispered to her son as she handed him over to the agency. But Adaora never stopped thinking about her baby. Years later, after her life had stabilized, she decided to find him. Adaora returned to the adoption agency expecting to find her son's record, but the agency had no record of him being adopted. Confused and desperate, she hired a private investigator. Months later, the investigator traced her son to Deborah's home. Adora's heart had raced when she saw the photos. The boy in the picture looked just exactly like Chike. The DNA results arrived in a sealed envelope. Deborah's hand trembled as she opened it. Her eyes scanned the page and her world shattered. The test confirmed that Chike was not her biological child. No, Deborah whispered, tears streaming down her face. This can't be true. He's my son. He's my son. I gave birth to him. The court date was set quickly after the DNA results were revealed. Deborah sat in the courtroom. Her heart was pounding. She felt like she was in a nightmare. Adaora sat a few rows away, her face calm but determined. The judge entered and the lawyer representing Adaora began speaking. This case is about a mother's right to reclaim her biological child. The lawyer said, my client has spent years searching for her son, who was taken from her under suspicious circumstances. Deborah's lawyer stood. Your Honor, while my client may not be the biological mother, she is the only mother this child has ever known. She has raised him, loved him, and provided for him. Taking him away now will be cruel. Deborah's hand trembled as she listened. How could someone else claim the child she had given her whole life to? At home, Chike began noticing the tension. He overheard snippets of conversations between Deborah and her lawyer. One evening, he finally asked, Mama, why is that woman saying she's my mother? Deborah knelt beside him. Her heart was breaking. She's just confused, my son. You are my child, and that will never change. But Chike wasn't convinced. Why did they take my blood at the hospital? Are they trying to take me away? Deborah hugged him tightly. No one is taking you from me, she whispered, though her voice was shaky. During the next court hearing, Adaora took the stand. Her voice was steady, but her pain was evident. I gave birth to my son 9 years ago, she said. I was young and struggling. I thought giving him up for adoption was the best thing to do. But when I went back to find him, he was gone. No records, no explanation. I thought I had lost him forever until now. Deborah clenched her fist, her anger rising. Adora's story might be true, but it didn't change the fact that Chike was hers. Deborah took the stand next. Her voice broke as she spoke about raising Chike. I may not have given birth to him, she said, her eyes welling with tears, but I have been his mother every single day of his life. I held him when he cried, nursed him when he was sick, and taught him to read and write, even though I don't even know how they said I didn't give birth to him, because I did. He's my son, not because of blood, but because of love. The courtroom was silent. Even Adaora looked down. Her expression was conflicted. The court decided to hear from Chike. The judge asked him gently, "Who do you want to live with, Chike?" Chike looked at Deborah, then at Adaora. His voice trembled as he said, "I want to stay with my mama." Deborah felt a surge of hope, but Adora's faith crumbled. It was clear the boy didn't understand the full situation, and the judge decided that the case requires further investigation. After the hearing, Adaora sat in her car staring at the photo of her baby. She felt guilty for causing Chike so much confusion. Am I doing the right thing? She asked herself. Her lawyer tried to reassure her. You have a right to your son, he said. This isn't about feeling, it's about the law. But Adaora wasn't so sure anymore. At home, Deborah clung to Chike, afraid every moment could be their last together. She stayed up late at night staring at his baby pictures. How can they say he isn't mine? She whispered to herself. What kind of blood test is that? Her friend and family tried to comfort her, but nobody could ease her fear. As Deborah waited for the next hearing, she began to question everything about Chike's birth. The memory of the clinic resurfaced. The injections, the pills, the strange sterile environment. The thought that she couldn't see her baby through sonogram. She remembered the doctor's reassurance, your baby is healthy and perfect. You've been blessed. But now, those words felt hollow. She began to suspect that something wasn't right somewhere. Adaora visited the investigator who had helped her find Chike. Are you sure there is nothing more about what happened to him after I gave him up? She asked. The investigator shook his head. The adoption agency covered their track well. But I'll keep digging. Adora's resolve hardened. She had to know the truth, not just for herself, but for Chike. The final day of the custody hearing arrived. The judge listened to closing arguments from both sides. In the end, the judge ruled in favor of Adaora. While I acknowledge Deborah's love and care for Chike, the law recognized the rights of the biological parents, the judge said. Deborah's world collapsed. She clung to Chike as he was taken from her arms, screaming, "Mama, don't let them take me away." Adaora watched with tears streaming down her face, unsure if she had won or lost. Deborah's house felt empty without Chike. His laughter, his small footsteps, everything was gone. She sat alone in the room holding his favorite toy, tears streaming down her face. How do I go on without him? She whispered to herself. The silence in the house was unbearable. She hadn't eaten in days and her friend grew worried. You can't give up, Deborah, her closest friend Amaka said. But Deborah could barely speak. At Adora's house, Chike sat in his new room, staring out the window. The room was big and full of toys, but it didn't feel like home. He refused to eat or play. I want my mama, he said over and over. Adaora tried to comfort him, but he pulled away. I'm your mama now, she said gently, but her words only made him cry harder. Adaora felt helpless. Deborah couldn't stop thinking about the clinic. She remembered the day Chike was born, how she had been sedated and woke up to find a baby in her arms. What if they lied to me? She thought to herself. Her heart raced as the pieces began to fit together. Determined to find the truth, she decided to investigate herself. Deborah began visiting the area where the clinic used to be. It had been closed for years, but she found people who remembered it. An old man at a nearby shop said, there was a nurse who worked there. She lives 2 streets away. Deborah followed his direction and found the nurse, an elderly woman named Ngozi. Please, I need answers, Deborah said, showing her a picture of Chike. Ngozi's face turned pale. I don't know what you are talking about, she said, closing her door quickly. One night, Chike packed a small bag and left Adora's house. He didn't know how to get back to Deborah's house, but he wanted to try. Adaora panicked when she discovered he was missing. She called the police and they found him hours later, sitting at a bus, crying. When Adaora brought him home, he said, "I want my real mama." Her heart broke as she realized how much pain he was in. Deborah returned to Ngozi's house, the old nurse, the next day, begging her to talk. "I won't leave until you tell me the truth," she said. Ngozi sighed and let her in. The clinic wasn't what it seemed, Ngozi admitted. They took babies from young mothers and gave them to women who couldn't have children. Deborah's heart sank. "Are you saying Chike isn't mine?" Ngozi nodded. "I'm sorry. You were one of their victims." Adaora sat alone, staring at the photo of Chike as a baby. She thought about how much pain her decision to claim him had caused. She visited a counselor who told her, "You need to consider what's best for Chike, not just what's right for you." Adaora began to wonder if she had made the right choice. Deborah began talking to other women who had gone to the clinic. Many of them shared similar stories: swollen bellies, mysterious birth, and babies that didn't look like them at all. "We were all fooled," one woman said. "They took advantage of us." Deborah realized this was bigger than her. "I have to do something," she said. Deborah contacted a journalist and shared her story. The journalist began digging into the clinic's history and uncovered shocking evidence. The story made headlines. Illegal baby trafficking ring exposed. Women across the country began coming forward with their stories. Adaora saw the news and realized that Deborah had been a victim too. She felt a deep sense of regret. Adaora called Deborah for the first time since the custody battle. Her voice was shaky. "I saw the news," she said. Deborah was silent, unsure of what to say. I didn't know," Adaora continued. "I didn't know what you went through. I think we need to talk." For the first time, Deborah felt a glimmer of hope. Deborah and Adaora met for the first time since the courtroom battle. They sat at a small cafe, both looking uncomfortable. "I don't even know how to start," Adaora said, her voice soft. "I thought I was doing the right thing for Chike, but seeing the news, I didn't know you were a victim too." Deborah's face was cold, but her voice cracked as she replied, "You didn't think about what you were doing to him. Chike is hurting because of all this." "I know," Adaora said, tears welling up. "I want to fix it for him." Deborah hesitated but nodded. "We'll need to work together." At home, Chike was withdrawn. He barely spoke to Adaora and spent most of his time staring at the window. One evening, Adaora tried to talk to him. "Chike, I know this is hard for you, but I love you and I want to be a good mother to you." Chike looked up, his eyes filled with tears. "I just want Mama Deborah," he said softly. Adora's heart broke, but she didn't give up. She called Deborah and asked if Chike could spend time with her. Deborah's heart raced as she waited for Adaora to bring Chike. When the car pulled up, Chike jumped out and ran into Deborah's arm. "Mama!" he cried, hugging her tightly. Deborah held him, tears streaming down her face. Adaora watched from a distance, feeling a mix of sadness and relief. She realized that Chike needed both of them to feel whole. Over the next few days, Deborah and Adaora started discussing how to help Chike heal. "He needs stability," Deborah said. Adaora agreed. "Maybe we can figure out a way to share custody. He shouldn't have to choose between us." It was an uneasy alliance, but both women were determined to put Chike's need first. Together, Deborah and Adaora started gathering more information about the clinic. They interviewed other victims and pieced together a pattern of stolen babies, forged documents, and unethical practices. "This wasn't just about us," Deborah said. "There are so many other women out there who lost their children because of this place." Adaora nodded. "We need to expose everything." Deborah and Adora's story gained attention nationwide. More women came forward, sharing similar experience with the clinic. The media dubbed it the Miracle Clinic Scandal. Deborah and Adaora decided to create a support group for the victims. "We need to help each other heal," Adaora said. Chike began spending equal time with both mothers. Slowly, he started to open up. One day, while playing with his toy, he said, "Mama Deborah and Mama Adaora both love me so much, don't they?" Deborah smiled and replied, "Yes, my son, you are loved very much. You are lucky to have two mama." Adaora, overhearing them from the kitchen, felt a glimmer of hope. Authorities began arresting former staff members of the clinic. Several nurses and administrators confessed to their roles in the illegal operation. One of them admitted, "We were paid to take babies from young mothers and give them to wealthy clients. It was all about money." Deborah and Adaora felt a mix of anger and relief. Justice was finally being served. One evening, Adaora visited Deborah's home. They sat together on the couch watching Chike play in the yard. "I'm sorry for what I put you through," Adaora said. "I didn't see the whole picture. I just wanted my son back." Deborah sighed. "I don't know if I'll ever fully forgive you, but I know we both love Chike and that's what matters." For the first time, they shared a smile. Deborah and Adaora appeared together at a press conference. They shared their story not as rivals, but as two mothers united by their love for Chike and their fight for justice. "This isn't just about us," Deborah said to the crowd. "It's about protecting women and children from being exploited." Adaora added, "We want to make sure no other family has to go through what we did." The audience applauded and the two women felt a sense of closure. The story of Deborah and Adaora shed light on the dangers of unethical practices like fake cryptic pregnancies, where vulnerable women are exploited by clinics offering false hope. These clinics prey on the desperation of women trying to conceive, using unregulated treatments and even resorting to criminal acts like baby trafficking. Deborah's heartbreak and Adaora's pain serve as a reminder for women to exercise caution and conduct thorough research before accepting any fertility treatment. Always consult licensed medical professionals and verify the credibility of clinics. Ensure the treatment being offered is transparent, safe, and ethical. If you or someone you know is struggling with infertility or has been offered unconventional fertility treatment, please take these steps. Research and verify. Seek second opinions. Join support group. Report suspicious practices and educate yourself. To all T2C mothers trying to conceive, you are not alone. Let's work together to protect women from exploitation and create a world where every woman's journey to motherhood is respected and safe. We wish all trying to conceive mothers strength and hope, and may all pregnant women have a safe and joyful delivery. If this story resonates with you or you want to spread awareness, share it with others. Together, we can make a difference. Together, we must create awareness to protect women from exploitation, ensuring that no one else has to endure the pain that Deborah and Adaora experienced. Let this story be a beacon of hope and a call for change. Thank you so much for watching. Till I see you again in my next story. Don't forget to share this story with your family and your friends whom I love to see them. Goodbye.